Hey everybody, and welcome to the month of March shop update. I want to first talk a little bit about February. February wasn't the greatest month for the channel. I did get the shop tour done, and I actually was happy with that. Mostly the people that watched it thought it was kind of neat. I only got the first half of my Lumberyard series out after that in the month of February. It's not that I was neglecting the channel last month. I was taken to heart something I said at the beginning of February in the first of these monthly updates, and that was that I want to grow this channel. And I work a full-time job, so my time to do these kinds of things are kind of limited. I have more time than most people that work a full-time job, but I don't have all the time in the world. And what I did literally through the whole month of February after work was do a lot of research on YouTube, research on video editing, and one improvement that I think I made to the channel you can see behind me here. I am not sitting in front of a brown panel wall. I am sitting in front of a green screen, and I taught myself how to use a green screen and superimpose backgrounds behind me. So that was kind of fun to learn. It isn't nearly as hard as you think it is. And I think it helps the channel a lot more. It looks way better than that silly plastic thing I had up there, and the wrinkled up cloth I had back there kind of looked hideous too. So I'm hoping, I don't think this green screen is perfect yet. I can see some green fuzzing in my hair. Having this white hair kind of is a problem for that. But for the most part, I think it's working. Let me know what you think. Is it better than the other backgrounds? I hope it is. But I was doing a lot of things like that. I took some classes online on video editing. I'm trying to, improve how it looks, some audio help, things like that, to try to make the channel appear a little bit better for you. So I did spend time on the channel, but it just didn't show up in the video tab if you go look at the channel and see how many videos I put out this month. That's going to change here in the month of March, because I do have 5 videos I'm hoping to get edited and out for you this month. The first one being the second half of the Lumberyard video, where I'm actually going to set my basement up like a little lumberyard and go through picking out the lumber we're going to use to build the table that's going to go right here. You notice I'm kind of cutting myself off right here right now. I'm not showing this hideous plastic table. Once we build the table up here, I'm going to pan out some and we'll show that table I built as part of this set. Right now, I just don't like the look of the plastic table, so I just zoom in. Obviously, the table build will also be the primary video we do for the month of March. Doing YouTube videos is pretty easy for a video like this. I film it, I edit it, I go back and make some changes, I fix it, I edit it, I upload it, and it's done. It's not that hard. When you got to actually build the table to go with it, that takes a lot of time. Woodworking channels are a lot harder to do than a lot of other channels out there. A lot of these vloggers just talk to the camera for a couple minutes, edit it, and throw it up there, and they're done. I'm going to build a table, and to build the table you got to actually build the table. So that will be the primary big video going out this month, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to getting in the shop, stop sitting here for a while, and actually build something. I think you'll all be looking forward to that too. I am also going to do a Ryobi, the brushless reciprocating saw that I purchased with the 2 batteries at Christmas time. I've been using it around the house now for a couple of months, and I kind of like it. It's kind of funny. I've used it in a few different ways that are quasi-woodworking related. I mean, obviously a reciprocating saw is not a woodworking tool. It's really a demolition tool, so it doesn't really fit in with my channel. But the next video to segue in that I'm going to do is a how to obtain free lumber. And there's many different ways to find free lumber, and you'll see me using that reciprocating saw to find some free lumber. It'll make more sense to you when you watch the video, but I've already done a pallet video. I've done the oak flooring video, so that's what I mean by free lumber, ways that you can find lumber. And obviously I think you can think of a few ways where a reciprocating saw can come in handy to do that. I'm not going to be talking about any illegal ways to get free lumber. These will all be perfectly legal ways to get free lumber, but watch the video, it'll make more sense. I know I have been mumbling about getting the bench cabinet video out now for 2 months. And, you know, one thing I did do is I watched a lot of YouTube videos this in February. And I think I know how I want. I'm going to re-edit the whole video because it's a couple of hours of video on the disc, and I want to squeeze this down to a 12 to 15 minute video. And a lot of YouTubers do that, me not talking or the person not talking, and just show building something with a lot of fast forward edits through it. I'm going to try to do that this way. I'm having such a hard time editing this darn video that I think maybe I'll just throw it in a whole nother direction and try that and just put it out there. The good news is when I did the shop tour, you got a good view of the cabinet, so you'll know what it looks like, at least if you watch the shop tour. And I just want to get that video out to you because there is, it's plywood and pocket holes, and that's a build type that it's good to show you. I haven't shown it I don't think I've shown it in any other video, so it's good to see the video, and I got to get it out there. And the last video I'm going to do this month, and I'm hoping to get it out in the month of February, or excuse me, the month of March. This one may bleed into April. I'm going to do a chisel video. I am pretty highly qualified to talk to you guys about different types of chisels. I am an admitted chiselaholic, if that's a word. I like to collect chisels. I don't mean I have a bunch of very expensive chisels. It's on the contrary. I like to go to flea markets, tag sales, things like that, and find chisels for $1. Old chisels. I got a whole bunch of old Stanley chisels, a whole bunch of Swan, a whole bunch of old chisels from a bunch of manufacturers. I like to find them all rusted and beat up, and then I like to finish them. I have some special tools that attach to my grinder to refinish the edges and the proper bevel. I will show you the sharpening stones, the diamond stones I own. I own a Work Sharp system. I have a Grizzly Tormac clone of a slow speed water grinder. So I'll show you all of that stuff, and we'll rehab a couple of chisels. And then I will talk to you about how many chisels you really need, which is way less than the amount I have, by the way. I do buy some chisels in kits, which I don't recommend doing. I'll go over all of that in this video as well. I'm going to try to do that for all of my hand tools. One video a month where I talk about the hand tools and what you need. This month it's going to be chisels. So that's what's coming up this month. The other thing I want to do in these videos is answer some questions. Now, I did not get any questions in the comments last month, or if I did, I missed it, and I apologize for that. The way you see comments in the YouTube portal, I guess you call it, where I go do my editing, there's a tab there, and it's pretty self-explanatory, but if I were to reply to it, they vanish from there. So it's kind of, then I have to go to every video and look for it. So if you put something out there and I missed it, I apologize for that. Right now I don't have enough subscribers to where I can't answer every comment made if I see them, and I will try to see them all. But I was talking to a couple of friends of mine, actually sitting in a bar on a weekend a couple weekends ago, and one guy did ask me a question, and I am going to go into the shop and set that up, and I'm going to answer that question that he asked for you all here as part of this video. So let's go into the shop. Hey guys, welcome to the shop. So to continue the March shop channel talk here, I want to answer a question that I was asked a couple weeks ago by a friend of mine, and it was a very simple question that has a very complicated answer from me because I make things difficult. His question was quite simply, he is interested in getting into hand tool woodworking and what should be his first hand plane. And of course, I knew this guy's background, and I know that he has certain power tools and he's done woodworking before, but this is a question that could be asked by many people, and the answer could be different. So I'm going to give you two answers and then throw a curveball third answer to you, because that's how I like to answer questions. So for the answer to a question for a lot of people would be, I am new to woodworking. So not this guy. A person who is new to woodworking, doesn't have the power tools in the shop yet. Maybe you have a skill saw and a power drill, a cordless drill, maybe a hand saw, maybe a a couple of chisels, and you're looking to get your first plane. And for that person, I recommend a Stanley number 5. This is the Stanley number 5. This was my grandfather's, so I actually, I really do love this plane, because it has history to me. The reason I recommend this plane is this, the Stanley number 5 is called the Jack plane. And all number 5s are called Jack planes, not just Stanleys. It's kind of the Jack of all trades plane. You can use this plane to hog off a lot of wood if you're dimensioning lumber. You could also use this plane to smooth wood down, kind of as a smoother. So it's a pretty versatile plane, so it's a very good idea for the first plane. Almost always it's the plane that people recommend. So for a new woodworker, this is absolutely the plane I would recommend. But my friend that asked me the question actually is a seasoned woodworker, and he has, like I said, he has a shop full of power tools. He knows his way around woodworking, but he's always been just power. Whenever he finished his build, whatever it was, he would use sandpaper, his random over sander, to smooth it out, to put a finish on it. And he's like, I'd like to advance on that. I'd like to get into doing some hand tool joinery and maybe finishing the lumber with planes instead of just sandpaper to see if I can get some better finishes on it. And for this particular type of woodworker, I would recommend either a number 4 or a number 4.5. You can see the heft difference here. The 4.5 is a bigger, heavier plane. Can be a little harder to push through the wood, but these are considered smoothing planes. These planes would put this would be the last plane you might use when you're done with a piece of furniture, to put a nice smooth edge on it. Because this particular person mentioned he's not interested in dimensioning the lumber, he still has his power tools for that, that I would go this route. I would go with a smoothing plane, and not necessarily the old Stanley. For the new guy just starting out, find yourself an old Stanley for $20 or $30. Get it all looking good, and put it back into working mode. A seasoned woodworker can go this route, and there's nothing wrong with it. These old Stanley planes are great. Find yourself one that's 75 to 100 years old. Get an old one. The older the better sometimes with these things, believe it or not. There are people on the internet that say the Type 11 is the best one to get, and there's a website out there, I'll link it below, that tells you how to figure out how old your plane is by looking at different markings, and it'll tell you what year it was. And they have Type 1 through Type, 30 or something. So they say the Type 11 is the best. I have a couple Type 11s, and I have a bunch of other different ones. They all seem to work pretty good to me, so I'm not sure what the mystique is to the Type 11, but if you're into what the people say on the internet the best one is, it's the Type 11. You can see a couple of these planes are pretty beat up. I haven't brought them back to life yet, and I know I just talked about videos coming up. Maybe in April we'll do taking something that looks like you'd get at the tag sale that has not been used in many years, like this one is, and bringing it back to life. So I might go that route and show you that. The other option that this guy might have is he may not want to go through the hassle of putting a tool back together. It takes a couple hours to bring a tool back to life, one of these planes. There are several manufacturers now that actually make hand planes again, and they're making them very well. Starting, I'm not going to list them all, I'm going to miss some, and I apologize for that, but starting, and these are all fairly expensive. These are $150 up to $350. But the Stanley Plane Company still makes, Stanley Tool Company, whatever they call themselves now, they still do put planes out, and they are pretty well made. They're less expensive as the high-end ones. I don't have one here. I don't own one. But they are getting pretty good reviews. They're just not quite as good as the high expensive ones. But if you're not willing to spend $300 and something, but you might want to spend $100 and something, it might be the way to go. The woodcraft stores have a wood river line that is also, again, higher, 2 or 3 times the price of something used on eBay. And it's new, and they get pretty good reviews. I don't own one of those either, so I can't really vouch for them, but if you go to Rob Cosman's YouTube channel, Rob is a spokesperson for those planes, and he touts them pretty heavily, and he's a pretty pretty knowledgeable guy in the woodworking field, so I think if you watch his videos, you'll know that they might be a way to go. I do own a Veritas smoother. I do like this a lot. This is a they call it the small smoother. You know, this was over $200, I believe. I bought it used. This thing really works well. This thing is heavier than this 4.5, which is a big plane. So, you know, this has a lot of heft to it, which lets you kind of get through, you know, the lumber. Then the last company I'm going to talk about is a company named Lee Nelson. I do not own their number 4 brass smoother. It is basically the top of the line smoother, so to speak, at least in my mind. I have used them before. I don't own one. They are very expensive. I'm guessing they're $350. I usually guess wrong, and some number will pop up here telling us what they really are. I'll look it up and put it up there for you. I will own a Lee Nelson smoother at some point in my life. It's one of those, it's almost like the woodpecker tools I talk about. I can't afford a lot of them. They're luxury purchases that I can only do once or so a year. You know, it's just the way it is in life. I use more old stuff like this than I do the high-end stuff, but I do appreciate it. And the Lee Nelson planes are just freaking gorgeous, as are the Veritas. I like Veritas a lot. I think they're modern. They're kind of, very neat looking, and they do work really well. The Lee Nelson tools are pretty much using the same patents as the old Stanleys. They look like the old Stanleys. They're using different materials to make them better. So that is the answer to the question. And I said I would have a little caveat curveball, and that is block planes. This is like 1A here. I think every woodworker should have a block plane. I have a couple of models here. I have a Veritas apron plane, they call this. This one's small enough you can put it in your apron pocket. Mine's hanging in a closet. I never wear it. I should wear it more because I'm getting, you know, you guys probably laugh at me. I always have dust on my shirts from going down in the dungeon. But a block plane is, you know, there are people that say you don't need one in woodworking because you can do everything with this. They say that you can do with this, and they're probably right. You can do most everything with this that you can do with this. But being able to put this in one hand and run it along a board, you know, take a little edge, you know, so round a corner off. To me, it's just seamless. This one here, this is I want to say this is a 150, 151. I'll put the model number down below. You know, I got this on eBay. This one has a little chip in the mouth, so this would be a bad example to get. But I got this on eBay with a chip in the mouth for $12. I mean, it still works. I bought it to be like a backup, just beater plane. You know, for $12, the blade and the parts in there are worth $12. You can find one of these for $25 in good working shape. So you can also go to Veritas, Lee Valley, spend $150 to $200. You can go to Lee Nelson and get their block plane, which again is considered probably the best block plane made. So there is now a third way to answer what plane should I get first. I hope that made sense. I hope I didn't confuse anybody. To be perfectly honest, to summarize, if you are a new woodworker, get yourself a number 5. If you're a power tool woodworker looking to get into hand tools, get yourself a smoother, 4, 4.5, something like that. Never hurts to have a block plane as well. Thanks for watching, guys. If this was helpful to you, please go ahead and hit that like button. Also, if you could subscribe for me, I could really use the help in the subscription numbers there. And thanks again. I'll see you again next month with the next one. Have a nice day.